and welcome to the Wine Bar, where I bring you bar-inspired workouts as well as wine information. Today we're going to be doing a leg-focused workout, about 10 minutes long, and we're going to be I'm using my little booty kicker here. I suggest a chair or a counter or the back of the couch, something that you can place some weight on. And please excuse all the dogs that are barking. Apparently it is bark o'clock today. So let's get started. All right, so we're going to just do a very short warm-up. We're just going to swing our arms down and swing them up into a squat. So we're just warming up our legs, warming up our arms, getting those glutes fired up, and our spine. All right, now we're going to do some spine twists. I always like to do this every day, just to keep the spine nice and mobile side to side. And then we're going to do, after we're done with this, we're going to do a couple of lunges. So 3, 2, 1. All right, so we're going to lunge over to the right, and then we're going to lunge over to the left. We're going to keep the weight in our bent leg, and we want to keep it very even over the front of the foot and the back of the foot. All right, 2 more. So 2 and 1. All right, so let's get that. And actually I also wanted to just give our ankles a little warm up. So I'm just going to come down, up and down, which we're going to do later in the workout, but I just wanted to give the ankles a little warm up and flexibility as well. And 3, 2, 1. All right, so give those feet a nice little shake out. And then we're going to come to the bar. I'm going to come with my feet in first position. And then we're just going to come up and down. So we're just doing a little elevate and down. Not even plie yet. So like we were just warming up our ankles before, we are warming up and getting our ankles ready for this workout today. All right, so I'm keeping all my weight over my feet, moving to the balls of my feet and to the heels, right? But I'm keeping my abs in nice and tight. And 3, 2, and 1. Okay, so now I'm just going to stay in the first position, and I'm going to come down into a plie. So my feet are flat on the floor, my back is nice and straight over the backs of my feet, and we're going to just come up and down. So we're just doing little plies, down and up. So we're just bending our legs, right? All right, and bending and lifting, bending and lifting. So since we're doing mostly legs today, we're not going to be using wine bottles as weights like we usually do. So I thought I could just tell you some fun facts about wine that are kind of something people don't understand. So we're not going to be talking about varietals today. So 3, 2, 1, and then we're going to come down into the plie, and then we're going to come up onto the balls of our feet. So we're doing a releve. So we're coming down and then up. So one thing that always is funny when people ask me is about the sulfates in wine, and that is what gives them a headache. No, not true. The thing that gives you a headache is the alcohol. The sulfates exist almost naturally on everything you eat, and like for instance, a head of broccoli is going to have more sulfates than a bottle of wine. So that is not what is giving you any kind of reaction. The thing that might be giving you the reaction is histamines, which is what, if you take Benadryl, that's supposed to block. So those are things that can be detrimental to your headaches and to your nasal passages. All right, and 3, 2, and 1. I'm going to do a little balance. So I'm up on the balls of my feet, and I have my arms in a wide position, and I'm just doing a little balance here. And 3, 2, 1. All right, I'm going to come down. Now I'm going to come back into a parallel position, and I'm going to do half ups. So basically you come to the balls of your feet and you come halfway down. And this really works the calf, so we're going to do a nice stretch out afterwards. But we're going to just keep moving up and down, up and down, up and down, So speaking of the sulfates, histamines, and alcohol of the wine, most wine falls in the alcohol category of about 8% to, if it's really heavy, 16%. But normally most wines are between 12 and 15. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So a big ripe wine is going to have a lot more alcohol than something that is light and delicate. So, okay, we're just stretching out these cabs. So like something like a big Zin or a big Cab or something from like southern Italy. If you think of the warmer areas have the riper grapes, and the alcohol tends to be higher from those areas. So yes, we're just stretching out those calves and thinking about the wines, because the riper the grape is, the more sugar it has, so it has more fuel to turn into alcohol from the yeast. So it's always like, you know, if you get a 15% alcohol wine, you're probably going to have a little bit more of a headache the next day than if you have a 11%. So I'm going to do, my calves are really tight today, so I'm going to do a little bit more stretching on sides just so I don't have cramps up tomorrow. All right. So we work those calves. And now we're going to come down into battements. So I'm going to fold over my little bar. I'm going to stretch my right leg out, and then I'm going to just bring it up to hip height and bring it back down. So again, you can do this a little bit more up, and you can also bring your leg a little less high if that is what is good for you today. So we're working the back of the body in this one. And I usually do these every day because I just feel like it's a nice stretch, and I just feel like it fires everything up really quick, so it's very efficient. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now we're going to bring it up to a battement. We're going to bring it in almost like a little spider crunch. So we're going to up, spider crunch, back and down, up, crunch, back and down, up, crunch, back and down. So we're getting our obliques and our abs, we're keeping them in nice and tight, and our glutes. So I have a soft bend to my standing leg, and I'm just bringing my leg in to a comfortable but challenging oblique position. All right, and we're going to do this 3 and 2 and 1. All right, so the last move we're going to do on this leg is I'm going to bring it up, and then I'm going to just do little pulses. So another thing that's kind of a little fun wine tip knowledge is they do still use their feet to tread wine. Not every winery, but some of the smaller ones that are trying to go back to kind of like classical methods for making wine, they do foot treading, which is apparently a very, very good workout. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Whew. Let's give a little stretch out before we do the other side. Whew, I can feel that in both my legs. All right, so I'm going to fold over and I'm going to go to the other side. So I have a soft bend in my standing leg, and then I'm just on my forearms. You can also do it straight out if you want, but I'm going to just lift my leg and lower. I'm keeping my abs in nice and tight, and I'm keeping my back in a neutral position. So these are called battements, and there is a technique in winemaking called batonnage when they mix up the wine as it's fermenting. So battement is beating, right? So that means in French to beat, and batonnage means to mix in wine when it's fermenting, to make sure that everything is all stirred up and together. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, now we're going to go back to a battement and a side oblique crunch. So up and crunch, down, up, crunch, and down. So the second side is always so much harder, right? up and down, crunch, 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 and down. Okay, 3 more. Crunch, 2, and 1. All right, so now we're going to do those little pulses. Ready? 1. And now we're going to talk about a thing that you might also see on the label of wines. I actually had one out today. So carbonic maceration versus regular maceration. So macerating is when you put all the skins together to get all the wine made in the big vats. And carbonic means they don't actually crush the berries and they let the wine macerate inside the berries and ferment. It gives it a little different texture and a little different flavor. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Woo! Oh my goodness. All right. So we're going to do a little stretch. We're going to do 2 more moves and then we're going to do a cool down. All right. So I'm going to keep one hand on the bar and then I'm just going to do a side leg lift. Right, so we're going to work the outer glute and the outer hip muscles, your abductors. So we're keeping all our weight in our standing leg, and I'm using this just for support. And then we're just, because I wanted to kind of get your hip at all the different levels, right? And so anyway, carbonic maceration usually gives it a little more fruity, lighter style. In Beaujolais, which is in the bottom part of Burgundy, they have every November, always the 3rd November of the month, a Beaujolais Nouveau that comes out, and usually done in a carbonic maceration style. All right, 3, 2, 1, and now we're going to just lift. I'm going to have a slight bend in my standing leg, and then I'm going to just do a little lift to the front. So I'm trying to get the hips on pretty much like every side. So I'm keeping my leg a little bit bent just because that feels good for me today. You can keep it straight and you can also just do smaller lifts. Just depends on how you feel. And I'm keeping my abs in tight and my hips are tucked under. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. 1 leg left and then we're going to do our cool down. So I'm going to just move the other way. So I'm going to have a slight bend in my right leg and then I'm going to just lift and lower. I don't want to go all the way like that. I want to make sure that I'm standing up nice and straight and I'm using the outer hip muscles to lift and lower my leg. All right. Ooh, everything's getting really fatigued at this point, right? Even in these, 10 to 15 minute workouts. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. And now I'm going to, so I can look at you again. I'm going to just have a slight bend in my standing leg. Abs are in tight, hips are tucked, and I'm just lifting and lowering to the front. So I don't want it to be too much in my hip muscle right there, but I do want it to work and make sure that we're getting mobility in that area, right? We don't, especially if we sit, or make sure everything in our hips is really, really mobile and fluid. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Very good, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's do a little cool down. So now I'm going to come into just a really easy squat. And then I'm going to come up and push bring everything tight. And then I'm going to come down into a squat again. And I'm going to come up. We're just going to do that a few more times. I just want to get the stiffness out of everything. So 2 and 1. All right, so now I'm going to come into a figure 4. So I'm going to use this as a little balance helper. So I'm going to cross my right leg over my left hip. I'm going to keep my foot flexed to make sure that we protect our knee. And I'm just going to sit backwards a little and let this back part of our hip stretch out. This is really good for sciatic pain and can be a lot. So just make sure that you're honoring your body and going where it needs to go. Right? 3, 2, 1, stand up. All right, other side. So other leg over, foot is flexed, and we're sitting back down using our little chair or bar or couch as to help us balance. Ooh, this feels really good though. I feel like I should do a figure 4 every day. All right, and 3, 2, 1. Now I'm going to come and just do a fold over of the bar. Ooh. I want to do like a little cat-cow, so I'm going to come up into a cat, and then I'm going to come down into a cow. So I'm bringing my spine up, a little bit of roundness, and then we'll bring it back down. So some spinal extension and flexion. Ooh, one more up. I'm really lengthening and bringing everything, and then I'm coming back down and let everything come down with the gravity. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed our short leg-focused workout today. I tried to give you some really just basic wine knowledge of things that I think are interesting as I've come along in my wine journey. And next time we'll do some varietals. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time.